It is a tempest. I mean, the water out there looks like a jacuzzi. It is just bouncing. It is crazy. It's almost as though it's alive. It's like a living, breathing, seething beast. No doubt about it. What's crazy, Jacques, don't even bother trying to zoom in because it's impossible to see at the end of the pier. It just vanishes. Waves now going over the top of parts of the pier in some places. The water, it ebbs and flows. The relentless just onslaught as it makes its way to the shoreline and then just dashes way up against the sea oats. The big fear that we have is with not just this, but the problem with the flooding potential inland, not just from the heavy rainfall, but from storm surge. A couple things to consider. Jen was live all morning up in Tallahassee where they have the oak trees. These trees that you have here can withstand the wind pretty well, but I'll tell you, those big oaks are going to be a huge concern farther inland, some 100 miles from where we happen to be. But I can tell you something that's going to happen that involves the century mark. There's a chance we could have winds here in excess of 100 miles an hour over, actually within 30 minutes or so. Now, if that happens, you're going to see us in a very different location. We're going to seek shelter inside or in a better spot, although we are in a pretty darn good location right now near this the hotel where Jacques happens to be towards the camera. He's shielded a little bit by the wind and certainly by some of the water, but if you stand out on that beach, I think you go out there with that kind of wind, that kind of water, you're a goner. It's dangerous stuff, no doubt about it. Let's bring in Dr. Greg Postel and talk more about these winds that seem to be beginning to ramp up right along the coast.
Yeah, Hurricane Michael continues to rapidly strengthen on its way all the way to the coast, 150 miles per hour now, according to the National Hurricane Center. That's based on really good information from the hurricane hunters and other pieces of information. 923 on the pressure. Andrew at landfall was 922. I imagine there's going to be some scenes that are going to be reminiscent of the damage that Hurricane Andrew caused in South Florida back in 1992. This eye wall means business, meaning this ring of yellow and red, that's by far the most intense part of the hurricane. There is an extreme wind warning for Bay, Franklin, and Gulf counties. Prepare for winds in excess of 130 miles per hour in these locations within the next half of an hour. So take shelter now if you live there, and this storm will continue on its way inland beyond that. But right in here, the outer edge of those extreme winds is just offshore. The conditions will get dramatically worse in a matter of about 10 or 20 minutes and then go very much downhill for the next hour or so. We'll be right back.
Introducing Rust-Oleum Wipe New. Just wipe it on and instantly restore weathered, sun-damaged vehicles. Just one wipe will keep your vehicle looking like new for years to come. Nothing else compares in ease, durability, and staying power. Wipe New's groundbreaking formula outperforms traditional brands and has created a new standard that cannot be duplicated. Wipe New Headlight will instantly repair foggy, discolored headlights and keep them looking brand new. Rust-Oleum Wipe New products are guaranteed and available at fine retailers.
If a dirty CPAP is making you sick, you're not alone.
I was getting sinus infections because I wasn't cleaning my CPAP properly, and that continued until I got my SoClean.
SoClean is the world's first automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs and bacteria that can build up in your mask, hose, and reservoir.
I don't have to push a button or anything. I just put the mask in the chamber, close the lid, and it runs automatically. SoClean has been a lifesaver.
SoClean works on all popular CPAP machines and masks. Try it risk-free for 30 days. Even shipping is free. Call 1-800-426-0836 to take advantage of this limited time offer.
If you get a CPAP machine, don't even take it home until you have your SoClean machine right with it, because they are a marriage made in heaven.
Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Even shipping is free. Call 1-800-426-0836. or go to trysoclean.com.
Insurance that won't replace the full value of your new car? You're better off throwing your money right into the harbor. Gonna regret that.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If you have psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats moderate to severe plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Behold, The Pacifica Hybrid.
It's half gas, half electric. Kind of like I'm half mom, half comedy sensation. What?
More like half mom, half got dressed in the dark.
Half drama queen, half accessory stealer. Yeah, I know that's my bracelet.
Mom, how long are you two gonna do this?
With a 566-mile driving range, I can do this all day. Hope we see some of your friends.
It's about 10:30 in the morning, and we're already seeing the surge come in here in Apalachicola. This is Lafayette Park. You can see one of the vehicles in the parking lot is already taking on water here. A lot of the boats will end up being compromised here. Water's going to come up over the road, and likely come up over the park here. It could go blocks inland.
And you've just been listening to meteorologist Mike Bettis in Apalachicola. What a story that they've been experiencing, no doubt about it. Chris Warren's going to be along relatively shortly with the latest that's happening there. But I can tell you, if you're just tuning in and you're familiar with Apalachicola, the wind is so strong from this system, this Hurricane Michael, that the river, the Apalachicola River, is actually flowing in the opposite direction. Just amazing. What's happening here, letting you know, one of the big stories is the wind issues, extreme wind warnings that have been posted now for parts of the Florida Gulf Coast, including Bay County, where we happen to be. Please know that as the wind continues to ramp up, we are in a relatively safe location. However, if conditions worsen, and we do expect winds possibly topping 100 miles an hour, maybe to the equivalent of an EF3 tornado, we'll be going inside to a safer spot. We're in a building that is relatively new. It's about a year in age, and it is, again, constructed quite well. But I'm telling you, the metal of it's going to be tested, no doubt. Short while ago, let me show you, the water continues to come on up. We had some kind of a container, a shack or something that was actually picked up and carried off. It looks like cushions that belong to, I guess, some chaise lounges that used to be rented out on the coast, out on the water itself. The water coming up and meeting the sea oats at this point, right along the dunes. But the real fear is with the continued surge coming up, if we have 9 feet of surge, could it come up? Could it top our current location? Could it flood right into our hotel? Right now, it's certainly possible. Key thing to remember, though, is although all eyes have to be on the coast for the time being, with very good reason, this story does not end at this point. Once it comes on shore, you've got the threat of some damaging wind. On top of that, you have the threat of possibly some tornadoes. Tornadoes can and do and will form with landfalling tropical systems. And the key caveat, key takeaway about those, when you have landfalling tropical systems and the tornadoes, they're at times relatively small, but can be very, very destructive, and they're rain-wrapped, hard to see. Hey, let's make our way over to Cedar Key. We're going to breeze our way to that spot. Waves are coming up. We've seen this happen before, and it's going to happen again. They've been coming up and just over the roadway in beautiful Cedar Key. Actually, was there for Hurricane Hermine just a few years back before we made our way back towards Tallahassee, and the system actually kind of followed this. But you will have flooding there in Cedar Key. It is not conjecture. It is a sure bet it's going to happen. Now we're going to make our way over to Indian Pass, and what a story that we've seen here. We've got live images, and the water continues to come up. It's just going up with every second. Unbelievable. Hurricane force wind that's there for the time being, and that is also going to be something that will be quite prevalent. Let's take a listen at Michael's Fury. Unbelievable. Folks, I got to tell you, I've just a little bit of inside baseball. I've been doing this for a quarter of a century. Been doing TV weather for 25 years. And when you have these landfall sittings, when they make their way on shore, at times the wind sounds like a jet engine. And take a look as we jet our way back over to the pier here in, I believe, Panama City Beach. Yes, it's from our vantage point, you cannot see it, but from this vantage point, you can. The most incredible thing about it, this structure that was built back in 2010, is what is coming right to it, the water. From my vantage point, which you cannot see, we can see the bottom of the waves kissing right on the boardwalk, on the board beams of the pier itself. Just terrifying, unbelievable. And that's going to be a bit of an uptick. I think we're going to go back. Let's springboard our way back to Cedar Key for just a moment. And now we're seeing more of the overwash on that roadway. Now, when you have these kind of conditions, all those lovely little boutique hotels and restaurants and what have you right there along that main drag, they're all boarded up. They're all closed, and with good reason. And that's a process that we've seen up and down much of the Big Bend of Florida, and certainly at our present location. Wise decision. It's history in the making, ladies and gentlemen. We've never had, in at least recorded history, a hurricane of this magnitude strike this part of America. It just has not happened. But it is happening. And many of these places, many of these communities will be tested in a way that they never have before. A lot of buildings built back in the 40s, the 50s, they are grand. The stories they could tell if they could speak. Well, many of them may be laid to waste by some of the strong winds from this system, by the surge, which continues to go up. Let's make our way back inland. Let's find our way back to the state capitol. That's where my buddy Jen Carfagno happens to be. Jen, the massive oak trees, big concern, huge concern in that fair city.
Yeah, very, very concerned about the power outages that are going to happen, the trees coming down, Reynolds. And I'm watching your shot, and I'm watching over to Apalachicola, and I'm watching all the data at the same time. The winds gusting over 70 miles per hour in Apalachicola, even at the Tallahassee airport, which, you know, is still more than 100 miles away from the core of the worst winds of Hurricane Michael. There they've been gusting over about 25 to 30 miles per hour pretty consistently, and that's just going to go up as we go through the next several hours. So, you know, right now we're in those outer bands, and here in Tallahassee, we've been getting the rain. It's been very steady. There's been one of those bands that is set up just off to our west and south that is lined up with rainfall of about 3 to 5 inches already. And that stretches from like Blountstown up towards the Mariana area. And there the rainfall, of course, has been pretty persistent. And we'll get into that as well. So in terms of rainfall amounts, you know, we're expecting anywhere from 5 to maybe 7 or 8 inches of rain. The rain has begun. The winds are starting to ramp up. So here in Tallahassee, the big concern is the beautiful tree canopy. You see the trees behind me. You notice that there's not a lot of movement right now in the moss hanging from the trees. The winds just haven't gotten that strong just yet. But we are anticipating that. We just need people to have patience, knowing that the weather is going to go downhill as we go through this afternoon. The worst of the weather to arrive here in the state capital of Florida by the time we get into this evening, just around the dinner hour, and watching the continuation of that. All right, let's go out live and take you to the coastline and show you what's happening as the surge continues to rise there. And we're watching some of the live video feeds from this area. Let's see, where are we right now? St. Mark's. Is that where we are? I'm sorry. St. Mark's. Yeah, so St. Mark's is that's about 20 miles to my south. Believe it or not, here in Tallahassee, we are actually pretty close to the coast as the crow flies. So just about 20 miles off to my south, you start to get into that west marshy land, and that leads to St. Mark's. And that's where you're looking at the water continue to rise right here. Look at this building, and you can see that the water is getting into the first level. I mean, we are going to watch easily a 9 to even 12-foot, maybe 13-foot storm surge approaching this area of coastline. We've been watching this steady rise around Apalachicola. And Reynolds, we're getting towards high tide this afternoon. And so this is worst possible timing, Reynolds. High tide and a historic 150-mile strong Cat 4 hurricane making landfall. It really is something that these folks have never seen before. This stretch of coastline has never seen before.
You're right about that, Jen. It's something that we've never seen before, and we hope that we're never going to see again. The winds are actually beginning to pick up quite a bit for the time being. You'd see that the waves are just unbelievable. Sky and water, it's hard to really see any discern markings that separate them. It's all coming together. The trees, these are like just dandelions, just dancing in the wind. However, these can kind of withstand the winds a little bit better than obviously what we'll have where Jen happened to be in her location with those beautiful oaks. But yeah, power outages are going to happen. Big issue that we have, again, although we are concerned about the flooding, we're concerned about the surge. The wind is now item number one of greatest concern. And we think that by the bottom of the hour, the wind's going to intensify to the point that we're really going to have to all move inside, have a much better shelter than what we have for now. Now, where our camera happens to be located, better spot there. And, you know what, I'm going to step up a little closer. Let's be smart about this. Okay. But again, you can see the effect of the wind off there in the distance where you have all these waves one after another. I mean, the waves, the structure's almost gone at this point, right? I mean, it's almost like a complete whitecap. You'll see one roll after another, a little bit of a curl, but everything like that is just total whitewash. Unbelievable. Goodness gracious. I mean, it just keeps on coming in, one after another, after another, after another. But again, what we do expect the winds to get up to maybe 60, 70, 80, up to 100 miles an hour, maybe even stronger than that, approaching 150. Again, the 150 mile an hour sustained is what we have, again, possibly in some spots. So we're talking about the potential of damage that might not happen, but will happen. And when you think about, again, those trees and the power outages, those are going to be on the uptick. A little bit of a side note, if you happen to be just joining our coverage, you do have options when it comes to coverage. If your power happens to go out, know that you can follow us. We're going to be live streaming on weather.com. So it's all about staying informed, no doubt about it. A couple things that I've just noticed. Rain is now beginning to pick up a bit more in earnest. If we can, guys, is Dr. Postel available? I'd love to ask him a question if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here, Reynolds.
Okay, Dr. Postal, quick question for you. Are we still looking at the bottom of the hour, say around the next 20 minutes when we expect the strongest of the winds to roll through Panama City Beach?
Yeah, right now you're kind of in a moat. In other words, a relatively calm area before the eye wall comes in. If you go to the radar, you're exactly right. In the Panama City Beach, Mexico Beach area, in the next 20 minutes to a half an hour, the leading edge of the eye wall will move in. The winds will rapidly increase over 100 miles per hour, gusts likely over 130 miles per hour. That will do damage to buildings, trees, everything in the way. Roofs will come off, I think, unfortunately, and we will see tornadic-like destruction with this eye wall as it closes in. Keep in mind the pressure inside of this thing is somewhere around 920 millibars. The pressure right now on the coast is about 980 millibars. 60 millibars worth of pressure in about 20 to 30 miles. That's an incredible gradient, and that is meaning the winds are going to rapidly increase as this thing moves in. So do not be lulled into the fact that maybe the conditions aren't super bad along the beaches where the winds we know are gusting to 70, 80 already. Look at, we have Mexico Beach, I think. We can show you some. Yeah, this is one of the Mark Sudduth cams from Mexico Beach, Florida, where some of the worst conditions are expected in the next hour or so. And it is only going to get a lot worse than this as we go forward in time. So Reynolds and Panama City Beach, hang tight for a few more minutes, but we're going to have to bring you in, I think, by the bottom of the hour as that eye wall comes in. Reynolds.
Okay, so winds up to 130 miles an hour possible. I'm sure I said 150. I think, guys, my brain's waterlogged. I'll tell you one thing we're going to do is we are going to see more of this intensification. I'm still just mesmerized by seeing this. Wow. At one point, there was a bit of pattern to the wave structures coming in. Now that there's no pattern at all. I mean, it's just a phalanx of water that just keeps on encroaching, keeps on coming. The beach is purely a memory at this point. It truly is. Now let's make our way a bit farther to the east. That's where we find Chris Warren. That's where we find Apalachicola. Such a beautiful town with some of the worst weather right now on the planet. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, hey Reynolds, sorry. We're starting to see things crawling around that we weren't seeing just a little while ago. And last thing I want would be a cockroach to be going up my leg right now. So yeah, I got that one for you. I want to show you right here, just in the past 15, 20 minutes, we're seeing now the water getting right up to the steps. And within the next maybe 30 minutes to an hour, we're going to be going upstairs. We're going to be getting well away from this water. As I got to show you over here, we're getting less and less of the street is dry. And the winds are really picking up. I'm somewhat protected. There's a building right in front of me, but off in the distance, you can see we're getting one of these outer bands coming in. We're about 40 miles away from the center of Hurricane Michael. Again, about 40 miles away from the center, and it is going off to the
Okay, folks. Well, let's take a look at the Panama City Tower cam for just a bit. The wind is certainly beginning to pick up. I'm concerned about not just what's happening on the beach itself, but maybe even like a block inland where you have a lot of buildings that have been around for decades and decades. I don't know if those are going to be designed or able to withstand what may be unleashing just over the next, say, 20 to 30 minutes. But wind is really the big takeaway. With that strong wind affecting some of the roofs, yeah, it's going to be kind of well, it's going to be kind of treacherous, no question about it, as we look at some of these buildings. The way it looks on the beach right now, we did have the waves now all the way up towards the shacks. They're up above some of the sea oats right now. I can also tell you that the power outages are definitely on the uptick. Now we're getting some stronger winds right now. Goodness gracious. Sakes alive. I don't know if you can get it, Jock, but if we could pan over here for a moment, had a little bit of damage already. We have a bit of a wind tunnel right here between both the buildings. You can see how it's come through. I'm not going to get too far over there because I don't want that thing just to fall apart and take somebody out. But yeah, unreal. The system continues just to kind of knock on the door, no doubt. Jock, I don't know if you get this, but you can also see the flags off in the distance, the double red flags. And then right beyond that, maybe a little bit of the pier, which kind of just vanishes off into nothingness. Unreal. Now back over in this direction, let's check out the trees again. Chris, we're going to bring it back to you for just a moment in Apalachicola. I can tell you the winds are feeling much stronger now than they did, say, just about 10 minutes ago, Chris.
Yeah, they are howling right now, Reynolds. And fortunately, we are in a protected area. We've got an overhang right here, and you can see, just look at this. and it's pretty loud too. So it's somewhat startling to see. And this is this tree. It's more like a bush, and it's foliage, just how thick and how big it is. But when the winds come howling through between the buildings, the wind intensifies quite a bit. So that's one thing we've been seeing. Also coming up, unfortunately, is the water up to the steps right here, coming from over there. That is the Apalachicola River, and it is essentially flowing in the opposite direction, or the winds are pushing the water, at least the surface of the water, from south to north. This river should be flowing from north to south, but that is not the case. And look at the winds. Do you see that? The intensity of this right now. And I'm amazed at where I'm standing right now. I'm outdoors, but I am protected based on where we are with the building. So the building is essentially shielding us from these winds, and we would not want to be standing out there in that right now. The intensity of this, and this is the outer bands of Hurricane Michael. We are, again, about 40 miles away from the center. I estimated about 30 miles away from the eye wall, so we're well away from it. Unfortunately, not well away from us is the water, and we're starting to see more and more debris out there. And I don't know if you can see off in the distance, there's something that is floating out there. I can't tell exactly what it is, but we are really starting to see the intensity, the ferocity of Hurricane Michael here in Apalachicola. Stay with the Weather Channel. This is Hurricane Central coverage you can count on. We'll be right back.
Bringing my Giovanni Rana pasta to everyone in America wasn't so easy. So I made it easy for America to find me. In the refrigerated section, Giovanni Rana pasta. Share what's inside.
Combine the right things, and something amazing happens. That's our inspiration for Fancy Feast medleys. Wild salmon primavera tastes amazing. Also in pate, Fancy Feast medleys.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its midsize car, the Chevy Malibu. I forgot, Chevy also won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its light-duty truck, the Chevy Silverado. Oh, and since the Chevy Equinox and Traverse also won, Chevy is the only brand to earn the J.D. Power Dependability Award across cars, trucks, and SUVs 3 years in a row. Third time's a charm.
Nothing outlasts Energizer Ultimate Lithium. Hey, you can't do that. Can he do that?
Yeah, he's good.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium. It's the #1 longest lasting battery.
Is mealtime a struggle? Introducing Ore-Ida Potato Pay, where Ore-Ida Golden Crinkles are your crispy currency to pay for bites of this with this. When kids won't eat dinner, potato pay them too. Ore-Ida, win at mealtime.
When you eat a bowl of oatmeal, you're getting beta-glucan. That's a soluble fiber that slows the breakdown of carbohydrates. And that provides energy that lasts.
Boo!
I'm sorry for what I did to your face.
All good. Have a break. Breaks are good. Have one.
Who knew?
Yeah. So you're with the UPS store?
Yes. In fact, we printed these right here.
Oh, I thought you guys just did shipping.
No, we do printing, packing, faxing, notarizing, shredding, mailboxing, copying, taping, binding, consulting, designing, returning, storing, grading. Oh, and of course, shipping.
So you're into shipping?
We also do printing, packing, faxing.
Come into
There's luggage that falls apart and luggage that costs more than a plane ticket. Now, there's something new. The perfect suitcase. Meet away, thoughtfully designed luggage that charges your phone, fits everything and never breaks, and lasts forever. Try any suitcase for 100 days. Visit awaytravel.com.
X1 is here to help. You can do things like change your settings, learn tips and tricks, troubleshoot, and even manage your account. Finding your Xfinity username or Wi-Fi password, restarting your equipment, or paying your bill is easier than ever with X1. X1 Help, another reason to love X1. Say, "Teach me more" into your voice remote to get started.
500784. Call now for your free information kit.
Every season, every storm, every time you watch, trust in the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees with light rain. Today, mainly cloudy, a few peaks of sunshine possible. High 88. Winds south-southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. Low 78. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tracking Hurricane Michael here on the Weather Channel. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren in Apalachicola, Florida, where we're about 40 miles away from the center of the storm. It is west of our location. We're getting the southerly winds blowing, and they are starting to howl. We're seeing some very strong gusts, and we're seeing more and more water. The water where we are, our location, is now up to the steps. We've got a few more steps to go before it starts to get closer to this building. But as we're seeing the water flowing by us now, going right along Water Street, this is the south, that is generally the north. And this river out here, which is normally a river, looks like we're in the middle of the ocean, the Apalachicola River. We're seeing the winds blowing the water in the opposite direction. We're seeing at least the surface of the water going in the opposite direction with these very strong winds, white caps. The water is starting to have more of a kind of a muddy appearance to it, which is often the case when you have a lot of sediment. You have a lot of stuff essentially suspended in that water. And what else is in the water? We're seeing these trash cans. That looks like a piece of metal or something off there in the distance. Earlier we saw a lot of